Hello, everybody, and welcome to Allegory Story. My name is Tegan Aline,
My name is Melanie Nevis.
and we are so excited to invite you to join us as we discover the stories of stories. Yes, we know what allegory story means, and we did it on purpose.
It's true. It's true. We did. Um, so quick note, I've lost my voice. I sound a little weird right now. I don't normally sound like this, but if you hear me cutting in and out a little bit, that's why. But anyways, let's kind of move on. I just wanted to put that out there.
So we decided to create this podcast because both Mel and I really, really love stories. We love all of the epic tales, of Greece, Egypt, the world. We love the medieval fairy tales. We find them very interesting, and we're always called to understanding a bit more about them.
Yeah, and I feel like with each story you learn about, it gives you a little more insight into a specific culture or a place and time that helps you just better understand the world that we're living in and why people sometimes think of things in a certain way or react to things in a certain way. And the stories that they've been brought up with directly impact, whether realizing it or not, the way in which you interact with the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So, our goal with this podcast is to really share with you as we kind of dive a little deeper and discover all of the back history that comes from these really epic stories, and then how they're kind of intersectional and how they meet each other at different places in time, and how they shift and evolve. So, just to give you guys a little bit of background on who we are, my name again is Tegan Aline. I am a Canadian plus size model who moved to France when did I move here? 2016. So, I've lived here for a while. And when I moved here, I was and still am working online in relation to plus size fashion and travel. But one of the things that I've always been interested since I was a child was history and the stories around history. And as I've discovered, France is deep. It has so many stories and so many histories, and it's so many connections to many of these stories of the past. So a lot of the time when I am kind of hosting a topic on this show, I tend to bring it around to France, at least for the first season. And I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just how it's been happening. But I have a deep interest in the stories and histories of France, and I'm very excited actually that a lot of the things that we've covered have kind of circled around back to that, even though I didn't plan it, but that's cool.
It is really cool. And my name is Melanie Nevis. I grew up in Toronto, Canada, and I am still living here, but I actually have a Portuguese background. So my father made sure to tell me many times over and over all about Portuguese history, the good and the bad, because there is a lot of bad surrounding Portuguese history and a lot of things that were glorified that maybe shouldn't have been. And I think that's kind of where my love for it really started. And also, I grew up in a Roman Catholic household, and getting to know the Bible and my experience with Sunday school kind of put me down a path of learning more about folklore and traditions. And I think we speak about it in other episodes. So I'm just going to leave it as is right now. And I'm sure we'll get biblical at some point, and I'll go into it further then. But that
Oh
really
yeah.
sparked that really sparked my love for stories, for folklore, for history, and I use those to better understand people in society, and whether I'm looking at people in society from thousands of years ago or to date, you can often find some different things that overlap. And my interests and curiosity in these topics and subjects led me to pursue my undergrad in history and religious studies. that is kind of my love for it, and why we decided to do this together. We both geek out on this stuff,
Yeah.
basically, is the short end of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we both really are into it like a lot. So it's really fun. It's been a really fun experience for us. Of course, we at the time that we're posting this, we have recorded our first season and it is our first time doing a podcast. So we are still kind of getting like our podcast legs, I want to say. But we're doing our best to give as much information as we can so you get the full context of the situations. um and honestly, I don't think I even need to oversell it. It's just cool. The stuff that we've discovered by doing this podcast is super cool. And I think if you are anything like us, you'll enjoy it.
I think so. And I think with a lot of podcasts that exist, they kind of just tell you the story. And what we're trying to do is go a little bit deeper,
Mhm.
regardless of whether we're looking at fairy tales, which, yes, it's our first season, or we're looking at Greek lore, or one day I would love to look at different indigenous lore,
Oh yeah.
and speak to some indigenous folks that we know
Mhm.
about their lore and have that perspective as well. But um,
Yeah, that's probably an important note to make as well, is that we've started with a series of stories that feel comfortable for us to kind of like speak about, speculate about. As the podcast grows, we would love to branch out, and we would love to, bring people onto the show, have them and like interview them and learn about stories from their perspective cultures. So these are all things that we have as ideas in the works that we would love to see happen in the future. We also are in the process of organizing a Patreon where we can share a lot of like the extra tidbits and things that we talk about in the podcast. So all of these things are in the works, but we are just two people that also have full-time jobs. So bear with us as we put it all together. But we do have hopes that this will actually be a really, really interesting journey through story, and that you'll appreciate all of these interesting little nuggets of wisdom as much as we do.
yeah, absolutely. Um, which I guess leads us to how you can get in touch with us. Of course, we will be starting a Patreon, as Tegan mentioned. But if you ever just want to send us some information about, I don't know, your culture or a story in your culture, that we can talk to you about, or anything like that, then feel free to email us at allegorystorypodcast@gmail.com, or reach out to us on social media, which I believe, Tegan, you're going to be setting up our Instagram.
Yes. Yeah. We're hoping to have an
Yeah.
Instagram account. So, again, you can always reach out to us if you have stories that you think you would be interested in sharing. Also, suggestions for what we should record. We're completely open to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Um, but that's just it. We just wanted to give you a quick little intro into who we are and I guess what to expect of the series.
So, with that, enjoy Allegory Story. We'll see you soon.